Some children are born into safety, others are born into storms. In a quiet rural village, 17-year-old Lebo believes her life is anchored by love. Her mother's gentle wisdom, her father's laughter, her brother's innocence, and the shade of an old mango tree that has always felt like home. But when death enters the household and love is replaced by silence, Lebo is forced to grow up faster than time allows. Hunger becomes routine, fear becomes familiar, and protection becomes her responsibility. As cruelty tightens its grip and dark intentions whisper through the walls, Lebo must choose between staying quiet or running for survival. This is a story about a girl who refuses to break, about the cost of love, and about how far a sister will run to keep her brother alive. Morning lights spilled across the courtyard, turning the red earth gold. The mango tree stood wide and generous, its branches heavy with fruit. Lebo laughed as her mother adjusted her braids. "Careful, Mama. You're pulling." Ao smiled, tying a blue scarf gently into the beaded strands. "Strength doesn't come from pain," she said softly. "It comes from love." Toomey ran past them, laughing as chickens scattered from the fields. Daniel called out, "My home sings louder than the birds today." Lebo looked up at the mango tree. "Promise we'll always be like this." Ao touched her daughter's cheek. "Even when life changes," she said quietly, "hold the rhythm." The wind carried their laughter upward, as if the land itself was listening. Evening arrived quietly, painting the sky orange and violet. Ao stood by the window, fingers tracing the wood. "The birds went home early," she murmured. Lebo, braiding Toomey's hair near the fire, looked up. "Is that bad?" Ao hesitated. "Sometimes the wind knows things before we do." Outside, Daniel laughed loudly. "You worry too much." But the white dove perched silently on the fence, watching. "If I'm ever not beside you," Ao said softly, "listen for love. It never disappears." Thunder cracked once in the distance. Rain came before midnight. Inside the hut, Ao lay weak on a reed mat. Breath shallow, Lebo knelt beside her, gripping her hand. "Stay, Mama." Daniel knelt helplessly nearby. Old Moyo stirred herbs in a calabash, his face unreadable. Ao brushed Lebo's bracelet. "Protect your brother," she whispered. "Remember the dove." A gust blew through the hut, scattering ash. By dawn, the mango tree bent under silence. Weeks later, drums replaced mourning. Zandy arrived in red and gold, stepping from a polished carriage. Her smile was beautiful and sharp. Daniel stood beside her, distant. Lebo held Toomey's hand tighter. "Mama's place still feels warm." Zandy knelt beneath the mango tree. "May peace live here." The dove shifted uneasily above. The house changed. "Again," Zandy said. Lebo scrubbed the floor until her hands burned. Toomey offered food. Zandy took it away. Daniel watched in silence. That night, Lebo whispered to Toomey, "If one of us eats, it must be you." The dove cooed softly outside. Hunger stopped screaming. It learned to whisper. By the fourth morning without food, Lebo's body felt hollow, like it belonged to someone else. She sat beneath the mango tree before sunrise, arms wrapped around herself, watching the compound wake without her. Footsteps crunched softly behind her. Kasai appeared through the mist, eyes darting, breath shallow. Without speaking, she pressed a small clay bowl into Lebo's hands. Thin porridge, still warm. Lebo's fingers trembled. "Kasai, if she finds you." "I know," Kasai whispered. "Eat anyway." Lebo swallowed fast, tears slipping into the bowl, not from hunger alone, but from the shock of being remembered by someone who owed her nothing. When a door creaked, Kasai vanished like a secret. Lebo hid the bowl beneath the mango roots and pressed her forehead to the soil, whispering thanks she didn't have words for. For one more day, she stayed alive. Sleep refused to come. Lebo lay still on the mat, staring into darkness, counting the sound of her own breathing. Then voices drifted through the thin wall, low, deliberate. Zandy's voice first. "Calm. Cold. She's growing weaker." Old Moyo replied, unbothered. "That makes things easier." Lebo's chest tightened. "And the boy?" Zandy asked quietly. A pause. Then, "He won't be a problem for long." The words settled like stones in Lebo's stomach. She pressed her face into the mat, not daring to move, not daring to cry. Her fingers curled around the cowrie bracelet until it hurt. Her mother's voice echoed in her memory. "Protect your brother." In that moment, Lebo understood something terrible and final. Staying was no longer survival. Staying was a slow ending. Rain fell hard, as if the sky was trying to wash the village clean. Kasai found Lebo near the water jars, soaked through, breath shaking. "They're planning something," she whispered. "Soon." Lebo's heart stumbled. "What about Toomey?" Kasai nodded once. That was answer enough. "You have to leave tonight," Kasai said, "before the moon hides." Lebo looked toward the hut where Toomey slept, small and unaware. "I won't leave him," she said. "I'll never leave him." Kasai reached into her shawl and pressed a small pouch into Lebo's palm. "Dried maize, barely enough for a day. This is all I have." They clung to each other, rain masking their tears. "If you live," Kasai whispered, "remember me." Lebo swallowed hard. "I'll come back for you." The rain answered for them, loud and unforgiving. Night swallowed the village whole. Lebo lifted Toomey onto her back, wrapping him in a torn shawl. His arms tightened around her neck. "Don't speak," she whispered. "Just breathe." They slipped past the mango tree, its shadow stretching like a warning. From the hut, Zandy's voice cracked through the darkness. "Lebo." Lebo didn't turn. Thunder rolled, hiding the sound of their feet as they ran. Barefoot, breathless, terrified. Mud sucked at their steps. Rain blurred the world. Toomey clutched her bracelet. "Cece, don't stop." Her legs burned. Her lungs screamed. But she kept running, because stopping meant going back. And going back meant losing him. Lightning split the sky, showing the road ahead, and everything behind them disappearing into black. Dawn came quietly, without celebration. Lebo collapsed beside a narrow stream, her body finally giving up. Mud stained her clothes. Her hands shook uncontrollably. Toomey slid from her back and curled against her chest. "We made it," he whispered. Lebo couldn't answer. She just held him, pressing her forehead to his hair as silent sobs tore through her. The sun rose slowly, touching their bruised faces with gold. Mist lifted from the water like breath returning to the earth. Behind them lay hunger, fear, and everything they had lost. Ahead lay uncertainty, cold, wide, and frightening. But they were alive. And for now, alive was enough. By midday, the dirt road ended without warning. The city rose in front of them, loud, sharp, endless. Cars screamed past like metal animals. Lebo froze, gripping Toomey's hand as the ground beneath her feet turned from soil to concrete. "Stay close," she said, though her voice trembled. People rushed by without looking. A man shoved past her shoulder. "Move." Toomey flinched. "Cece, I'm hungry." Lebo broke the last dried mango in half, pressing it into his palm. She didn't eat her share. They sat beneath a towering billboard showing a smiling family, clean clothes, bright teeth, everything they were not. Lebo watched the traffic and felt something inside her shrink. Back home, hunger had been cruel. Here, it was invisible. Above the noise, a white dove circled once before disappearing into the haze. Night arrived colder than Lebo expected. They curled up beside a closed shop, cardboard beneath them, neon lights humming overhead. The city didn't sleep, it watched. "Why do the lights stay on?" Toomey asked softly. "So people can see hope," Lebo answered, though she wasn't sure it was true. A security guard approached, boot nudging their shelter. "Move along." Lebo lifted Toomey, legs shaking, and walked until they found an alley that smelled of bread and waste. A bakery door creaked open. Leftover loaves were tossed aside. Lebo moved quickly, grabbing 2 pieces and hiding behind a bin. Toomey smiled weakly. "It's still warm." Lebo laughed through tears. "Then tonight, we feast." Above them, pigeons slept. Somewhere far away, a dove's wings stirred. Rain returned the next morning. Lebo stood at a traffic light, soaked, holding Toomey close. She didn't beg with words. Her eyes did it for her. Most drivers looked away. One car didn't. The tinted windows slid down, revealing Shola Bello, calm, composed, untouched by the rain. "Child," she said gently, "where is your mother?" Lebo hesitated. "Gone, Ma. It's just us." Something shifted in Shola's eyes. "Get in before the rain swallows you." Toomey hid behind Lebo's skirt. "Can we trust her?" Lebo looked up. The white dove perched briefly on the traffic light above the car. "Yes," Lebo whispered. "We can." The door opened. The house smelled of polish and flowers. Lebo froze at the doorway, afraid her dirty feet would stain the floor. Toomey ran ahead, eyes wide. Apples, he whispered. Real apples. Shola smiled softly. You're safe here. No one will raise a hand against you. Lebo nodded, but didn't step forward. That night, a soft bed waited for her. She didn't use it. Instead, she spread a mat on the floor beside Toomey, back pressed to the wall, fully dressed. Safety felt unfamiliar, suspicious. As the lights dimmed, Lebo clutched her bracelet, waiting for danger that didn't come. Outside the tall windows, the city glowed. Inside, for the first time in weeks, silence did not threaten to kill her. Days passed without shouting. School uniforms arrived, crisp, blue, unreal. Lebo touched the fabric as if it might disappear. What if they laugh at me? She asked. Shola smiled, then laughed louder. At night, Lebo helped Shola read documents, her mind quick, sharp despite everything. You're very bright, Shola said. My mother said I was born with old eyes, Lebo replied. That night, Lebo slept in the bed. She woke at dawn. No screams, no fear, no running. Outside the gate, unseen, a shadow paused. The city had given them shelter, but it had not finished with them yet. The mansion slept, but Lebo did not. She sat upright in the dark, breath shallow, listening. The room felt full, not of danger, but of memory. Curtains stirred though the windows were closed. Then she heard it. Not a sound. A feeling. Ayo. Protect him. The voice seemed to say, gentle, aching. Lebo clutched the cowrie bracelet, heart hammering. Tears filled her eyes. Mama, she whispered. The room stayed still. A white dove landed softly on the window ledge, feathers glowing faintly in the moonlight. The door opened behind her. Shola stepped in quietly, wrapping a robe around Lebo's shoulders. It's just the wind, she said kindly. But Lebo knew better. Love unfinished does not disappear, that waits. Morning came bright and deceiving. Lebo walked Toomey toward the school gate, her grip tight, eyes scanning the street. The city moved fast, too fast to notice fear. A black car slowed beside them. Her chest seized. The window rolled down. Old Moyo's face appeared. Older, darker, unchanged. She still calls to you, he said calmly. Your mother. Lebo pulled Toomey closer. How did you find us? He smiled thinly. Some bonds do not break when you run. The car drove away, leaving dust and dread behind. That night, Lebo knelt by her bed, pressing her forehead to the floor. Please, she whispered. Don't let him take us back. Outside, a single dove feather rested on the window ledge. Peace never stayed long enough to grow roots. That night, Lebo walked the mansion garden, trying to calm the storm inside her. The fountain murmured softly. Then she saw them. Footprints. Small. Bare. Leading from the wet grass toward the gate. Her blood ran cold. Toomey, she called, voice cracking. No answer. She ran back inside, heart screaming louder than her feet. Toomey's bed was empty. The blanket lay half on the floor, still warm. Lebo collapsed to her knees, choking on air. No, no, no. Outside, the dove screeched once, sharp, urgent, then vanished into the night. The past had not come to warn her. It had come to take. Screams tore through the night. Lebo burst through the front doors barefoot, rain slashing her face. Down the driveway, a van sped away, taillights vanishing into darkness. Toomey, she screamed, chasing until her legs failed. Shola rushed out behind her, shouting orders into the night. Guards scattering. Stop that van. It was already gone. Lebo collapsed onto the wet ground, sobs ripping through her chest. This is my fault, she cried. I should have known. Shola knelt beside her, gripping her shoulders firmly. No, this is not punishment. This is a fight. Lebo clung to her, shaking. They found us. From before. Shola's voice hardened. Calm. Dangerous. Then they've chosen the wrong enemy. Above them, lightning split the sky. A white dove circled once through the storm. By morning, Lebo had stopped shaking. She packed quietly, bread, water, her bracelet. I'm going to find him, she said. Shola stepped in front of her. You're still a child. Lebo met her eyes, steady and broken. So was my mother when everything was taken from her. Silence stretched. Shola removed a gold pendant from her neck and pressed it into Lebo's hand. When it grows warm, I'll be near. Lebo hugged her tightly, voice trembling. Thank you for choosing me. At the gate, dawn spilled across the road ahead. Barefoot again, Lebo stepped forward. The white dove lifted into the sky, flying east. This time, she followed. Johannesburg felt like a maze with teeth. Lebo moved through taxi ranks and narrow alleys, eyes scanning faces, listening for anything that sounded like her brother's voice. Every shout made her flinch. Every laugh felt cruel. "Have you seen a boy?" she asked again and again. 11. Quiet. Curly hair. Most people shook their heads. One woman hissed, "Children disappear here." "Stop asking." Lebo pressed the cowrie bracelet to her chest, breathing through the panic. "Mama," she whispered, "show me a road." A street boy pointed to dark stains on the pavement. "Van came through here last night. Smelled like diesel." Lebo followed the trail until the city thinned and cranes rose against the sky. Above the noise, the white dove circled once, slow, deliberate. She wasn't lost anymore. She was being led. Exhaustion finally dragged Lebo to the ground beside a warehouse wall. Her eyes closed, and the world shifted. She stood by dark water. Her mother was there, calm and whole, blue scarf glowing softly. "Follow the smell of salt," Ao said. "Count 7 lights. Choose the red door on the left." "Is he afraid?" Lebo asked, voice breaking. "He waits for you," her mother replied. "And you are coming." A ship horn blared. Lebo woke with a gasp. Night had fallen. The harbor glowed with scattered lights. She counted them, 1, 2, 7. There it was, a rusted red door, half hidden beside a larger gate. Her bracelet warmed against her skin. "I'm here, Toomey," she whispered. Inside, the warehouse smelled of oil, rope, and fear. Lebo moved between stacked crates, heart pounding so loudly she was sure it would betray her. Then she heard it, a soft sound, barely there. "Toomey." Silence. Then a whisper, "Cece." She dropped to her knees. Behind a low metal grate, one of his eyes appeared, tired, scared, alive. "Don't cry," she whispered. "I'm here." Chains rattled somewhere above. Men laughed, careless, close. "One more night," a voice said. "Then we move him." Lebo's hands shook as she loosened a bolt, just enough. "Hide," she mouthed. Toomey nodded, disappearing into darkness. Footsteps approached. Lebo slipped behind crates, pressing her back to cold steel, praying without sound. Lebo's phone vibrated once. A message from Shola, "We're close. Stay still." Outside, headlights died. Doors closed softly. Inside the warehouse, old Moyo's voice drifted through the metal corridors. "Deliver the boy at first light." Lebo's stomach twisted. She whispered into the phone, "Now." Movement followed, controlled, silent. Guards slipped in low and fast. Mama Tandy signaled. Mr. Dubé covered the exit. Shola entered last, calm as stone, eyes sharp. "Left aisle," Lebo whispered. "Red door." For the first time since the night her mother died, Lebo felt it. Not hope. Backup. Quiet, deliberate, unstoppable. Fear changed sides. The lock gave way with a dull snap. Light flooded the room. "Toomey." Lebo breathed. He blinked, confused, then saw her. "Cece." She fell to her knees, pulling him into her arms. His heartbeat thudded against her cheek. Real, alive, everything. Shola knelt beside them, touching his hair gently. "You're safe now." Above them, metal clanged. Old Moyo's voice hissed from the shadows. "You steal what was promised." Sirens wailed in the distance. Shola stood. "Go." "I'll stay." Lebo hesitated, then hugged her hard. "You're our mother now." Shola's voice softened, then Liv. They ran. Behind them, the red door swung open as the night finally let them go. By sunrise, the harbor breathed smoke and sirens. Miles away, Zandy stood before a cracked mirror in her hut, beads clattering as her hands shook. "Where is it?" she screamed. "Where is the power?" On the table lay the snake-shaped bangle, split down the middle, dull and lifeless. Her smile collapsed. Old Moyo's shadow stretched across the wall behind her. "You asked for control," he said quietly. "Not permanence." The wind rose, rattling charms and dried herbs. Zandy backed away, eyes wild. "You promised me everything." "I promised you borrowed strength," he replied. The mirror fractured with a sharp crack. Smoke curled upward, swallowing her reflection. When the air stilled, the room stood empty. Far away, Daniel Adebayo woke from a long, heavy sleep, whispering one name into the dawn. Lebo. The farm felt unfamiliar. Daniel stepped outside, blinking against the morning sun. His head throbbed. His chest felt hollow. "Lebo," he called. No answer. Villagers watched quietly as understanding crept into his eyes. Whispers reached him, of Xandi, of fear, of children who ran. He staggered toward the mango tree. The white dove perched there, waiting. Daniel fell to his knees, pressing his forehead to the soil. I failed them, he whispered. I let darkness wear my face. The dove lifted, circling once before flying east. Daniel rose slowly, gripping his wooden staff. If blood still binds us, he said, voice breaking, it will lead me to my daughter. Behind him, smoke curled from Xandi's hut, a ghost of all he had lost. The mansion felt quieter than before. Lebo sat beside Tumi's bed, watching his chest rise and fall. Faint rope marks circled his wrists. Does it hurt? She asked. He smiled weakly. Only when you cry. Her breath broke. Shola entered softly. The doctor says he'll heal, she said. His body remembers how. Lebo looked up. You risked everything. Shola touched her cheek. Some children arrive to remind us who we are. Outside, rain washed the city clean. Lebo rested her head against the bed frame, exhaustion pulling her down. For the first time since the escape, she allowed herself to believe the word safe. But safety, she had learned, was something you guarded, not something you trusted blindly. Thunder returned that night. Lebo woke, gasping as heat flared around her wrist. The cowrie bracelet glowed, burning against her skin. She tore it off with a cry. Images flooded her mind. Her mother smiling, Xandi screaming, her father walking through fields toward her. Mama, she sobbed. Shola rushed in, kneeling beside her. What's happening? The bracelet, Lebo whispered, holding up the glowing beads. She's calling him. Across the miles, Daniel stumbled as a matching warmth pulsed against his chest, a thread tightening between them. Shola pulled Lebo close. Then she wants you found whole. Lightning carved the sky outside, branching like roads. The storm that once shattered Lebo was now stitching something back together. Morning broke gentle and gold. Tumi ran through the garden laughing, his first real laugh since the night he was taken. The sound loosened something tight in Lebo's chest. She knelt by the fountain, washing the now dim bracelet. Mama, she whispered, if this is peace, let it stay. A knock echoed at the gate. Mr. Dubé entered, breathless. There's a man outside. He says he's her father. Lebo froze. Through the glass, she saw him. Older, thinner, dust streaking his face. Daniel Adebayo. Baba. He fell to his knees. Forgive me. The white dove landed between them, wings spread wide in the sunlight. Nothing was fixed, but something had come home. Daniel Adebayo knelt on marble that felt colder than the soil he deserved. I buried your mother, he said, voice cracking, and never asked who pushed the earth down. Silence pressed heavy. Lebo stood frozen, every memory colliding. Hunger, fear, running barefoot through rain. Then Tumi moved. He stepped forward and wrapped his arms around Daniel's neck. Mama said forgiveness keeps the heart alive. That broke her. Lebo dropped to her knees, pulling them both into her arms, sobs tearing free at last. It hurt too much to hate, she whispered. Daniel clutched them like he might disappear again. Above them, the white dove perched on the window frame, wings glowing softly. For the first time, the house didn't echo with grief. It breathed. They returned home a week later. The farm had aged without them. Weeds swallowed the paths. The mango tree stood heavier, older. Lebo knelt before the mound of earth. Mama, we came back. Daniel cleared weeds with shaking hands. Shola and Tumi laid flowers. I thought the dead forget us, Lebo said softly. Daniel shook his head. It's the living who forget too easily. A warm wind passed through the branches. The cowrie bracelet pulsed once, then stilled. Somewhere beyond the hills, a dove cried, not in warning, but farewell. The ground felt quieter. Finished. At the edge of the village fence, Kasai stood frozen. She didn't believe her eyes until Lebo called her name. They collided in tears and laughter, holding each other like survivors of the same storm. You lived, Kasai cried. Because of you, Lebo answered. Shola watched from the car, saying nothing. Daniel stepped forward, offering Kasai a small pouch of coins, for your courage. Kasai closed his hand gently. No, for her future. The wind lifted dust around them. Two girls laughed, where once they had whispered in fear. But far away, unseen, something else listened. That night, Lebo wrote by candlelight. Dear Mama, she whispered as the pen shook. I forgive the world. Baba is home. Tumi laughs again. I found a woman who protects broken children, and she calls me daughter. A tear fell, blurring the ink. She folded the letter and buried it beneath the mango tree. The wind rose. The cowrie bracelet cracked softly, then turned to dust in her palm. Lebo gasped as the grains lifted into the air, glowing briefly before vanishing into the stars. Shola watched from the doorway, breath caught. Some debts, once paid, do not return. Morning came bright and merciless. Lebo stood at the edge of the field with Shola beside her. What now? Shola asked. Lebo smiled, steady, earned. My mother built a school here once. I'll build it again. For children who run. Daniel nodded, pride breaking through sorrow. Tumi clapped. Kasai laughed. The white dove soared high into the sun. But far away, beyond cities, beyond fields, a figure stood watching the horizon. Old Moyo. His eyes burned with something new. She carries more than she knows, he whispered. The wind shifted. And somewhere in the distance, something ancient answered. Survival changes people, but purpose transforms them. Lebo survives what was meant to destroy her. She rescues her brother from the edge of disappearance, confronts the ghosts of her past, and learns that family can be chosen, not just inherited. Forgiveness comes slowly. Healing comes painfully. And peace, when it arrives, feels fragile. As the past seems finally laid to rest beneath the mango tree, Lebo turns toward the future, ready to rebuild what was taken, ready to protect children who run just like she once did. But darkness does not vanish so easily. Far away, old forces stir, old eyes watch, and the power Lebo carries, born of love, loss, and survival, has only just begun to awaken. This was not the end. It was the beginning of the reckoning.